We're back to our roots and just
Roots.
roots, roots, and we're just doing audio today because I'm very tired. Katie has a cold sore, so we were like, no,
No. I just
no,
I
no,
can't today, guys.
no,
Not today.
not today. So you can just hear our lovely voices because they are lovely.
No, no,
And
that's that not
I don't
that.
know what.
Not that.
Sorry, okay, sorry. I don't know what came over me. It just happens sometimes.
Your mouth noises right in my ear.
I know. I did this with Ian and Tom last week, and they were like, "Oh!" And I went, "This is fun. I'm gonna do it more."
Okay.
Anyway, do you want to introduce our lovely little podcast?
Oh yeah, that's the thing I do. Hi
Yes.
everyone. Welcome to all the films we judged before. I'm Katie. That's Lily K. I did the pointing. Nobody can see. It's just
Nobody can see.
important. It's part of the thing. It's
It's
part
fine.
of the whole process.
It's fine. I've been drinking anyway. Not like that. Like, uh,
Lily's hammered.
it's fine. I'm not drinking alcohol before anyone thinks that. I'm just drinking tea. That's it. That's all I'm drinking from a Deadpool cup because Deadpool and Wolverine are great. So I'm just like, Anyway, we're here today to talk about DC's latest show, The Penguin,
The
or how
penguin.
Benedict Cumberbatch says, The Penguin.
The penguin.
I had to. So we're gonna talk about that today. We're gonna review it as we always do. We're gonna start with the non-spoiler stuff,
Mm.
so anyone who hasn't seen the show can be safe from spoilers, and then we're gonna get into spoilers. So we are spoilers. What did you think, Katie? Altogether, no
Without
spoilers.
spoilers.
Without spoilers.
Yeah. So kind of, I just like I was listening to you, and then for half a second I zoned out because my brain does
I
that,
saw.
and
Yeah,
then and then just the way that the sentence came out, I was like, "What do you mean? We're not doing spoilers. It's fine. I'm
we're
really good at
totally
this."
here today. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why we're not.
Yes.
You can't see us.
I have a Christmas sweater on, just so you all know,
She
because in
does,
my
and
in
I
my
did
heart it's
query it.
Christmas. Yeah. My pants are also Christmassy.
It's yeah. She's very much. I'm wearing like my cargo trousers and a
Fair,
hoodie.
fair.
Um, I
Also
went
choice.
I went back to my old job today because I wanted to get something because I worked in a supermarket.
Yes.
But I was they sell certain things slightly cheaper in there, and I went in with a mask on, mostly to cover my my cold sore, but
Yeah.
also to give myself a bit of a disguise. And I saw one of my old supervisors come around the corner, and I basically ran in the other direction. Which
Nice.
is, but it's the reason why I'm dressed and rather than wearing pajamas, which I would
I
otherwise be
gotcha.
doing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Non-spoilers for the
Non-spoilers. We're
penguin.
talking about the penguin.
I think you and I are in a very similar place
Mm.
where trying to watch this show this past week, because we haven't been watching it weekly, is probably
Yes.
part of the
Yeah.
our issue, but also we've just not been in the place
Mm.
to where we would be usually like wanting to enjoy it as much as maybe we would want to, or give it
Mm.
the attention that we would usually want to do so.
Mm.
So I feel like prefacing the entire set of like opinions that are coming down this track by being like, giving that what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, preface, I guess, is the word I was, giving that warning, I guess, of just
Mm.
sort of like everything we say comes from a place of like we had to put some effort into like really watching all these episodes, and I don't think it has anything to do with the show
No.
itself,
No.
because by all accounts, the show's really good. I just wasn't. I just wasn't in it, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the same, so I understand fully.
Um, but yeah, I did enjoy it. It took a little bit of time for me to listen to. I was watching it, but I was also playing a lot of Hades today as I was catching up on the last parts of it. Um,
Mm.
uh, uh, I was watching it, but
Mm.
also, subsequently, because I couldn't, I just did not have the energy to keep all of my energy on it. Because it clearly is a show that has had a lot of work put into it.
Mm,
It feels like a show that you should then be able to put more effort into watching. Like,
mm,
it should be a show that you actively watch, and I think if you are in that space where you can actively watch it, you'll end up getting a lot out of it.
mm,
I just did not have the brain power for it
mm.
at the time that I, within the constraints, the time constraints that we I gave ourselves. I'm also not the biggest like gangster story fan,
Hmm.
so it's always a little bit of an uphill battle for me to
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
into to stories like this.
Mm,
But like from a purely objective standpoint, it's good. It's a really good show. Like, you can tell it like everything about it was extremely well made. I love the
yeah,
music.
yeah, yeah,
There was a
yeah, yeah,
lot of really good
yeah,
music in there, and
yeah.
it looks beautiful.
Mm.
And obviously, Colin Farrell's brilliant. My
Oh,
dad poked his head in the other day because I still can't believe that's him. Like,
yeah,
I can't see him in it at all. And I'm like, I can at this point, but only because I think I've been looking at it for so him
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
it
yeah.
for so long.
Yeah,
Like, it's fully, it's like,
it's
I
the eyes.
think it's in the eyes. Like, when you can see his eyes, it's like, no, that's, I can see
That's
Colin
him.
in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Obviously, all the rest of the prosthetics are extraordinary.
Mm,
I do think that the surrounding cast are also all really, really excellent.
mm.
I meant to look up the woman who played Sophia's last name because I can't remember how to say it. Hang on, I'm going to look it up.
Sophia's last name.
No, 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 not Sophia. The woman who plays her.
Kristen.
Yeah,
Kristen
Kristen Milotti.
Milotti. Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Kristen Milotti. She's
Mm,
fantastic in this.
mm.
Really fantastic, and
True.
probably one of the best parts about the entire thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the kind of my overall thing. And if I have any, we'll get into like the spoilery stuff because I think there's a bit of like, I have an initial bit of like reticence just based off of like instinct, I guess, about how a lot of the women are treated in this show. Like,
Mm,
overall, when you look at it from after everything that happens, like, and you kind of consider what happened to basically every single major female character within it, it's kind of like, oh, doesn't leave me feeling great. But also, I'm aware of the confines of the genre that we're in and the
mm.
story that is being told in front of
Yeah,
us, kind of a thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really good.
It is. Yeah,
I'll float back over to you.
yeah. No, no. I do think like I same. Like I had to sit down this week and I didn't have much time, so I had to like watch plenty of episodes together, and I admittedly fell asleep once. Not because it wasn't good, by the way.
Honestly,
I was just
I fell asleep last night trying to watch episode 5, but it was also really late.
yeah,
So there's like
yeah,
two, there's
yeah.
two
No,
sides to these.
it's not about. It wasn't because the show is not good. It was
Mm,
because I was very tired. So
mm,
yeah, I think that's understandable. But yeah, altogether, it's a very, very, very good show. It's so perfectly put together that it's sometimes it was unreal to experience it as well. But also, I also couldn't be really in it
mm.
as much as if you've been listening to us these past 4
4 years.
years,
Good God.
you know that that most of my favorite characters are fucking fucked up.
Mm,
Like Joker is one of my all-time favorite characters ever created. Homelander, and the list could go on. And the Penguin is obviously could have a place on that list. And Colin Farrell is fucking fantastic.
mm.
But I think this is the first time where I'm actively like, you're just fucking awful.
Yeah, but like that's honestly one of the things I did like about it by the
Yeah,
end
but
of
I
it,
mean
'cause
it's good.
yeah,
But also it's like the fuck. I think
very true
it's
to genre.
it is very true to genre, but like also that's what I liked about it most, and not because of the you're fucking awful part, but
Mm,
because thank the maker that it's not a bad guy turns into good guy by the end story,
Mm,
like redeeming a unredeemable character because he's unredeemable.
mm,
Let's be completely honest here. Like there's nothing there
mm,
that can be redeemed in him, especially by the last episode.
mm.
Whoever wrote that, fuck you. Just my honest opinion. But yes, I think it's a very good show. Colin Farrell deserves all the fucking awards that can come into his way because he is unreal,
Yeah,
unreal.
he
Like
really is.
I think it's every actor's dream to get a role like this and really get lost in it and be in it fully. And I think he gave it his all to the role, which is I'm not saying that he usually doesn't do that, but if we look back at before the 2010s Colin Farrell works and what he's doing lately,
Yeah. It's a
it's
guy
like
who has clearly put a lot of work into
so
his
much work.
craft,
Yeah,
and is reaping the rewards out of it because he's
oh,
always been good. But like,
he's always been good.
there was a certain bravado to him in the early 2000s, probably fueled by a lot of the drugs that he was on,
Yeah,
and 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 the alcohol.
yeah,
But like, I think you can tell that he's done a lot of work on himself
yeah,
internally
yeah.
as well as
Oh,
externally, and
yeah.
all of that sort of stuff. He's just he's
I
what a
think
guy.
Yeah, I think the fact that he also decided to get away from the spotlight more
Mm,
helped him a lot. And I love that the first thing that we see from his personal life this year, because he doesn't really talk about it, but
mm,
he gave out a documentary about his son Jack,
mm,
which was honestly beautiful, and it shows what kind of a man he is. And I'm so glad that he was able to change for his kids
mm.
basically. So yeah, and it shows in his work as well. Because let's be honest, at the beginning he was just a Hulk guy that cast into the very typical roles that Hulk guy could.
He did. He went down the Hollywood pipeline very quickly,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think one of the things that really worked for him was that when in I was it doesn't it kind of half reminds me of a lot of the way that Robert Downey Jr. was, where
yeah,
he after sort of quote unquote falling from grace a bit in the space in the early 2000s, he went and did a lot of really interesting projects, like smaller projects,
hmm.
such as In Bruges being one of the huge ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's a beautiful Irish movie called Ondine that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and he's fantastic in that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. True.
Um, I believe the woman who plays I can't she's like a she's not actually a Selkie, but like his daughter in the movie thinks she's a Selkie.
Mm,
Um, I think he either like I think she's the mother of at least one of his kids.
yeah.
So they were I don't know if they got married or not, but like they were very close for a long time.
Mm,
But yeah, he's done it's that thing of like these are these actors who really very much are putting the effort into the
mm,
craft of the work
yeah,
that they're doing, which
yeah.
is always really fun to see. And I think that's reaping a lot of rewards now, where he gets to do all this really interesting
Mm,
stuff because
yeah.
he does the work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, Colin is great. That's the main message here. But everyone else is, to be fair.
Mm,
So let's get into the spoilery stuff
mm.
regarding the show. So if you haven't seen The Penguin, this is your spoiler warning because moving forward we're gonna talk spoilers.
You've got
And
points,
it's now
and we will not be shy about it.
yes, and all 8 episodes streamed already, so it's out. You can watch it,
There you
watch
can watch
you
it.
you can watch it on Max, and I don't know what other platforms is on, but
I
I
think it's
think it's
probably
a
on
Max
now in the
maybe.
UK because that's where a lot of the Sky stuff goes, and that's where a lot of
Yeah,
that sort of the HBO stuff goes on Sky. So Sky goes
there you
on.
go. There you go. You can find it somewhere for sure. Watch it. It is a really good show. But make sure that you're ready to sit
I
down.
think it's also one. Yeah, it's not. It's. I don't think it's a bingeable show. I think
No,
you and I probably would have been better off if we'd taken the
watching
time
it
to
week to
watch
week.
it
Yeah,
week to week.
yeah.
But I was just wasn't interested at the time, and then time
Same.
passed.
Yeah, I know. I know. It
um,
went by way too quick, to be fair.
yeah.
Once again. So yeah, spoilers. That's your warning, and we're gonna get into it now. I think the easiest way to do this is talk about it all character by character.
Yeah.
I would approach it like that. And I think let's start with our main guy, who's the penguin, Oswald Cobb, played by once again the fantastic Colin Farrell. Well,
He's a bad guy.
he's a fucking bad guy.
And
If
everybody told us that he was a bad guy. And then
yeah,
they, by the end of it, they were like, no, no, no. He's a bad guy.
yeah, yeah. And if you read any of the Batman comics involving Oswald, somehow I feel like he's worse now. I don't know. I'm
What
like,
I do think that this show does extremely well is that there's a lot of quite despicable behavior across the board
yeah,
from basically everybody.
yeah.
But at every point, I felt like I felt sorry for somebody. Like, I felt sorry for them. So there were multiple points where I did feel sorry for Oz. But
Yes, I
then
agree.
you get bits later on where you get more context to things, and it's like, oh, no.
Yeah,
Didn't deserve any of that. Because
yeah,
I think you know very like immediately that this guy's a swindler. Because everybody tells it that he's like that like he's a
yeah,
rat.
yeah, yeah.
He doesn't come from anything. All of that sort of stuff. Um, but like there's like an element of like classism to a lot of it because
Oh yeah,
he
yeah, yeah.
comes from you know the projects basically. He comes from
Mm,
this like very rundown part of town. So when you hear, it's specifically like the Falcones talking about
mm.
how terrible he is, it kind of comes with a sense of snobbery. So you're like,
It
well,
does,
that's
yeah.
just like, you're being that kind of it's shitty sort of you are actively underestimating
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy because you
yeah.
think he's beneath you, which to be fair, they absolutely did.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Um
100%.
uh but it's like they're also not wrong. Kind of nobody's wrong about anybody in this show, but when you hear it from the perspectives that you hear it from, it's a bit you kind of like it creates a very interesting picture. Like everything kind of builds on top of each other in a way that speaks to incredibly precise writing across the board, where everybody gets built up, and is given new dimensions when they're shown from a different angle. That then kind of
Mm,
proves somebody else correct, but like in a
mm.
different context. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you were gonna say something.
No, I was just gonna say that what I really enjoyed about it all is that those scenes where they are like actively being assholes to him,
Mm,
I really like, no matter like what kind of person someone is, it is like a fuck you kind of,
mm,
you know, like you don't have to talk to anyone like that.
mm,
That's just gonna push people over the edge,
mm.
or even worse. So those scenes genuinely were like, but fuck you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh. But then what I really enjoyed about Oz and how he was pictured in it all is that he is smart.
Mm,
He is a swindler, obviously.
hmm.
That's
But that's where
100%
he's
true.
smart.
But yes, and he sees. I think it was so clear and it was so well presented that he sees the opportunities,
Mm,
like always. And of course, sometimes he just has luck on his hands as well,
hmm.
because it happened more than one time. To be fair, and I think that was very smartly done throughout the entire show with him. And obviously, when you find out that, yeah, he's kind of he's a monster from the beginning,
Mm,
from like he's the whole storyline where he's jealous of his own brothers
mm.
because his mom dares to care about them as
Care
well,
about them.
and and decides to just fucking murder his brothers at the age of like 12, 13. I don't even know how old he's supposed to be there, but he can be older than that. I think it's
Mm,
it's like, you're just fucking awful. like, and you don't even see it. That's the most interesting part of it. Like I don't think he had any remorse about what he did. And actually, the scene in episode 8 where his mom is in active danger when
Mm,
Sophia tries to get the truth out of him, and he still just lies,
mm.
not to admit what he did. I was like, you're awful.
It's
He
like kind
just
of like he cannot like fundamentally cannot have a genuine perspective on himself. He
no,
will always paint himself like it's like the guy who swindles so much that he will actively swindle himself,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like I don't think that there's a modicum of him being able to be true, like truthful with even himself. Because if he was
Mm,
truthful with himself, then then he'd have to have some kind of guilt, and
yeah,
that it doesn't seem fundamentally possible with him.
no, 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 absolutely not. And the way I think what shows it the best is the way it's his mom who stabs him, but the way he says it was Sophia, and I'm like,
Hmm.
you're the Lulu.
Yes, that's very much it. The man is delusional.
You are the Lulu in the most fantastic way. I'm like, I was just sitting there. I was like, huh?
Hmm.
Excuse me? What did you just say? Uh, so yeah, I think what this showed it very, very right, and what I appreciated the most is that we didn't try to turn, because my brother like said that by the end you could feel sorry for him. No. Have you seen what he's been doing throughout this entire
I
show? He
think
was
the thing is that you start off feeling sorry for him, and then you get to a point of being like, oh, oh, no, not anymore. I'm done
no.
now.
And that's why and we're gonna get into this now because I need to vent it out of my system.
Mm,
That's why, because my brother said that he thinks that needed to happen to establish that the penguin is the bad guy, and you shouldn't feel sorry for him. No, I don't agree. I think that was clear, very much so. The way he killed Vic.
mm. I saw it coming the moment, like, it was that little bit, because speaking on how smart Oz is, he's very much, he's not, yeah, he sees opportunities in what you said.
Yeah,
The idea to like have all of the seconds kill their bosses so that they have like a new set of like people rising up basically was clearly Vix. Because like he literally says to him, he's like, hey, you've got a smart head on your shoulders. That idea, I wasn't sure about it, but you came through and it ended up being really good.
yeah,
Like bringing Luca in.
yeah.
Or was it Luca or was it just Luke? I think it was Luca.
It was Luca, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that whole thing was Vic's whole thing, and he then proceeded when you look back on the scene before when he's talking to Sophia in the car, and
yeah.
he's making out like, yeah, of course, we did this whole thing. It's like this is how when you're down in the gutter, kind of a vibe. You're gonna snap, kind of a spiel. Putting that in perspective and then kind of giving like look, poor Vic. It's just, but like, yeah,
Let's talk about Vic. Let's get into that boat. Uh, ah,
poor kid.
ah. The whole thing. I think his part is so heartbreaking because at the end of the day, I think it was all about just belonging somewhere
Hmm.
for him. And he literally picked the worst possible person to belong to in a way, or to be associated with,
Mm.
because sometimes what you want is too strong for you to see clearly, and to
Hmm.
see how people are around you. And I think maybe in his own episode, which I think was episode 4, if I
Three,
remember correctly, 3, it
three.
was episode 3. Maybe he had a little bit of like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't hang out with Oz kind of revelation, but it was just because of the way Oz works and saying all the right things to him. He just went like, oh no, no, this is the first time somebody sees me and respects me and whatnot. And I was like, oh kid, no, you.
I
No.
think the thing that kills me is that I don't think Oz had any intention of killing him until he said, "You're like family to
You're
me."
like family. Yeah, I know.
It's that look on his face where you're like, he goes,
I know.
"Oh no, now I have to."
Mm.
And I think this is the thing. I know we were talking about Vic, but I think that is the thing about Oz is that like it. I think he genuinely did kind of go in that really twisted way of like, I would have kept like I liked you, like I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
did
yeah.
care about you,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
the fact that uh, I think it's the fact that he said that he thought he was family, and the fact that Oz real in that moment I think realized that he agreed and went, well, I can't be having that. Like I can't have any weaknesses at this point.
Mm.
And it's like, oh man, I have to look up what his name is, the guy who plays
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vic, because I mean he again everybody. Oh, there
So
he is,
good.
Renzi Felice.
Yes, he
Renzi.
was. He was really good.
Um, and I think it again, it's like this is like a really great piece of gangster media, you know, because
Mm.
when I was studying back
Mm.
in the day, no, during my A levels, one of the things that we did, I think it was my A levels. I think it was during my it was either my A levels or it was during my media studies at my GCSE. But we did a whole
Something.
unit on
Yes.
the gangster genre and
Yeah.
this idea of like the rise and the inevitable fall of people in pursuit of power in these
Mm.
like shows because we looked at Scarface, we looked at the original Scarface, and we looked at the what's his name, the 80s Scarface with
Al Pacino.
thank you. My brain was going Al Capone. And I'm like, he was a real gangster,
He was
not
a
who
real
I was
gangster.
thinking of.
No, no, it's Al Pacino. Yes.
Al Pacino. And that sort of thing of like the need to hold on to power is the thing that will inevitably lead to the downfall.
Yeah.
And I think that in a really twisted way, I mean, I do mean really twisted, there's almost a sense of like, he was like freeing him from the future where he was going down like truly a terrible
Yeah.
path. Not that that was his intention, just that like that was like a like a cruel but and like a strange side effect of killing him in that way is that like this was a good kid that got led down a terrible path that would have gotten worse and he would have turned into something worse. He was already heading that way.
Yeah.
Um, it's just his whole thing is just sad. I mean, it's just really sad.
It's honestly, it's for me that was the most heartbreaking part throughout the entire show because Vic really did care.
Yeah,
Like he genuinely cared about Oz from that turning point onward when he goes back to him in episode 3 and whatnot. He really did care, and it showed, I think, throughout the entire rest of the show, and that's why it was like, fuck you. I don't know who who was the writer exactly, but fuck you. I was it was heartbreaking to witness.
I think there's a
Be-
really interesting parallel to both Sophia and Oz in Vic. Kind of it is strangely like he kind of sits in between the both of them, where he comes from the same place that Oz came from, but
yeah,
he almost had that sort of uh what's the word I'm looking for? No, that's not it. There's something pure, like he had a purity of spirit about him that like Sophia before she got shoved into Arkham had, where he just like he had like a very pure sense of loyalty that I think would have very quickly, like I think at a certain point would have corrupted him in the
yeah,
same way that it ended up corrupting Sophia. But Sophia is the way she is because she came from this like privileged place, and Oz is the way he is because he came from like, but he kind of almost represents both of them in an odd way, which you
mm.
know again is also really good writing. I do
It's good
like it
writing. Yeah,
when
yeah,
you can turn around and like really like put them up against each other and be like there are things that are actually very similar about all three of these people.
yeah.
that kind of shift based on circumstance because like um I don't know if there's like a way that Oz could have been different.
No,
It
I don't think there is.
but
I
there's
honestly don't think.
I think it's a thing of like coming from a place of like yeah, that sort of feeling of purity versus a feeling of like born corrupted
Mm.
rather than being made corrupted. I'm sort of saying stuff now without really knowing where I'm going with it. There's something in there. I just haven't like pieced it together. Yeah, I finished the show maybe 2 hours ago.
No, I think with Oz, it's pretty clear that it was always in him. Like especially that flashback where he actively tries to turn Rex's attention on himself when he's walking with his brothers and whatnot. Like he was drawn into this world from very early on. So I think the show did a very good job of like saying this is an awful person. He always was. He just got even better in the game he was playing, basically all along. So I think it is very smart, but rip, Wick, honestly,
Man.
uh,
Yeah, it really was like I was like
so heartbreaking.
you could feel it coming, I think for
I think, yeah, I think especially as you said when he said you're like family, I'm like, why? Why did you have to
yeah, it's
say
like,
that?
oh,
Why?
kid, you gotta protect yourself more. If it's too late
Yeah,
now, but do
no, yeah,
you know what really like got me? The worst part was him taking his driver's license and throwing it in the river,
yeah,
so they can't even identify the body.
yeah. I
Like
know
that's fucked up.
that is fucked up. I was like,
Like
okay,
he just suddenly becomes like a nameless because he's
yeah,
got no family left. So who's gonna be able
no,
to
yeah,
identify him?
yeah,
Fucked, frankly.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Ma. Ma,
Ah, ma,
Ma,
ma.
Ma. It's stuck in my head. I've been, it's been stuck into my head. Ma, Ma. I was like, fuck off, get out of my head.
This is the thing. There's such the accents are so. I mean, they're
So
so
good.
good, but like when you listen to them for a really long time, it's like, oh, that's in my brain now.
It is now in my brain.
That's
Yeah.
now the voice that's in my
It's
brain.
part of me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is part of me now. Mao is also so fucked up. I'm not gonna lie.
But I think
In
that's really interesting is that they kind of played that in reverse with Oz.
what do you
In
mean?
that, like, you start from a place of like finding. I think I found she's so like, ugh.
Yeah, yeah,
um, and I mean that with all the respect to again I'm gonna have to go like I should have kept up
yeah, probably.
the thing magic. Of course it's not like one of the first things that comes up when
Of
I
course
click on
not.
the
Why would it?
why would you help me, why would you be
No,
nice to me in
no,
this moment?
it's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen.
um I can't find a fucking name.
Oh no. Oh no.
Deirdre O'Connor, thank you.
Yes,
Deirdre. um uh
such a good actor as well.
I mean, yes, she's fantastic. Like
Fantastic.
again, everybody's fantastic. It's just
Yeah,
kind of part of what
the
makes
entire
watching
thing.
this
Yeah.
so. Like it is an enjoyable watch,
Mm.
even if we weren't like in the place to enjoy
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
at its full potential. I think
True,
is
true.
yeah. It's like she's fantastic, but yeah, she's there's a sense of like, oh, this woman's kind of terrible.
Yeah,
But then you get to a point when you find out that she's known the whole time
yeah.
that her son killed her other sons, and she's just sort of like she's been eating that this entire time and letting it like fester and like I don't know maybe I missed it slightly, but was there ever did we get a sense of why she decided not to go through with letting was his
I think
name
it was
Nick?
because of
Was it just like oh no Rex? Sorry, that was it.
Rex. I think it happened when
He made
Sophia's fucked up doctor, who what was his name,
mm,
was making her talk about the entire experience, and the whole plan to like get rid of his son, and they are sitting in the bar, and that's when Oz makes that promise that,
Yeah.
you know, no matter what happens. I think that was the
Do you
turning
think
point. Like,
it is that because like she kind of goes? Do you think that there was an element of like maybe one day this is still my kid and I can't like go through with it, kind of a thing? Um,
I think it was more implied that it's not even about the,
she just want
you
to get
know,
something out of him.
yeah,
Yeah,
like Rex suggested it basically, because when they had that conversation,
yeah.
it's very clear what Rex suggests. Like, you know, with this kind of kid, you can either like get something out of him,
Do you think I could
or
put something forward? Because this was never actually addressed, but I had the thought when Rex went over to her house to
mm,
their apartment after the
mm,
boys died, and she's like sitting there all extremely depressed and
yeah,
understandably like full of rage.
yeah.
I thought we were going to find out that Rex was their dad.
I had a thought as well, but I think that would have been too much on the nose.
I feel like yeah, maybe like actually saying it, but like if we're gonna kind of look at it from an outside perspective, I'm like that. I think that's my thought because it's kind of like why
Maybe,
else would she have this like relationship with him, kind of a thing.
yeah.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Maybe. I had the thought as well, but like, yeah, I think for me it would have been a bit too much on the nose. Like,
Yeah,
you know, possible. I'm not saying it's not, but
yeah. I just
yeah,
it was a passing thought, and I really
yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah,
think it was gonna happen,
yeah,
but
yeah.
then it
No,
didn't.
it didn't.
Um,
But yeah, I think Ma, uh,
nah.
again, Ma, her most honest moment is when she admits that she should have had Rex kill his son because he's a fucking monster. And I was like sitting there. I think that was the most
Yeah,
captivating moment in the entire show. Where I was like,
that last episode was particularly fantastic.
it was
Like, like it's a well done show throughout, and again the music is fantastic.
very good. Yeah.
There's the oh god, I can't remember if it was the end of episode 3.
Mm,
There's like a drum,
mm,
um, a piece of music that's just drums that
mm.
keeps like building in places,
Yeah,
and it's really chaotic and kind of keeps like slowing down and building up. And I was like, this is so good.
it is. Yeah.
I'm very obsessed with this actually.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Um,
It is very good. But that scene in particular,
yeah.
A level. Like that's how you do it. Like
Hmm.
I was sold on the entire thing. I didn't see any of the actors. I saw these characters as
Hmm.
living, breathing beings basically, and I was like, oh God, this is fascinating and also incredibly disturbing. But so beautifully done,
Mm.
honestly. The question is the big horrible question here is: would you, in Ma's place, uh, have killed Oz?
No,
Or
but like I'm not a murderer. I think that, but the fact that she kept him around and like basically tried to like eke stuff out of him,
yeah,
um, that's I think that's the thing that makes her like it's almost like you can point to where the rock came from, kind of a thing.
yeah,
Um,
100%.
like that's not an instinct at that point. I think I don't know, I mean it's like I don't blame her for like hating her son
Oh yeah,
because
oh
like
yeah,
Christ, but like at the same time there's almost an element of like in this very specific instance maybe you should have left him.
yeah. That was my thought process as well. Like if I would have been Ma, uh, I'm sorry, it comes out like that. I think I would have went for a third option where I would have taken him to an orphanage and just leave him there and just fuck off from God and be done with it because yeah, no, no, absolutely not.
I
If
mean, if we were being like the best people possible, we'd try and get him some help. and
Yeah,
like do all that sort of stuff.
but I'm
But
thinking it more in a
in
fucked
the
up way in
yeah,
that
in
world.
the context of this world and like especially Gotham as like a place, it's like, yeah, why didn't you leave?
Yeah, and that was a bit, you know. Yeah, yeah. She's also horrible. Let's be
Yeah,
fair. Like
she is.
that's
But like,
the
I
whole
think what's
point.
interesting is like I said, there are points where you kind of feel sorry for everybody, and it's like
There are.
she did not like even like she didn't deserve that.
Oh no, 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 no,
Um,
no. Absolutely not. I
the
agree.
woman who played the younger version of her, because I was staring at her going, "Your face is so fucking familiar to me," and I could not place it for ages. She was in the first season of The Leftovers. She was
Oh,
Margaret Qualley's character's best friend, Amy,
okay, okay.
um, who kind of lives with them
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
a bit, and there's like a whole thing. Um, yeah, I can't. I looked her up earlier and I can't remember her name now, but yeah, I was looking at her, I was like, "That's just they specifically." It was like in the way she was talking and everything. I was like, "I know you."
Fair,
Fucking Google
completely
this.
fair,
Um,
completely
but
fair.
she's great, and she was like an underrated part of the first season of
Oh yeah,
Leftovers.
yeah.
IMO.
Fair. All
She
right,
was
let's talk
really
about
good.
Sophia
Sophia.
Gandhi by the end. Or however you say it.
Sophia.
Ah, yeah.
Sophia.
I what I really enjoyed was the thing. It's gonna sound fucked up, but I
Hmm.
said worse things on
Okay.
this podcast. So I'm like, at this point, what? No. I really enjoyed that they didn't shy away from showing what she went through in
Mm,
Arkham. I think a lot of times, especially when it happens to women, they are a bit shy to show certain things. And you know, obviously we don't have to see everything. I'm
mm.
not saying that, but I think it was nice to, not nice to, but it was
I was like, you're gonna take a
no,
second.
no, no, no. It's not nice to, but it was. I think
Gratifying?
it was a good decision
Mm,
to actually be like, this is why she is the way she is. And I think it was very important to see what happened to her in Arkham
mm.
in as much detail as we got.
Yeah.
So I very much appreciated that, even though it was absolutely horrifying to
Mm.
watch the entire part of her story in there. But yeah, Kristen Milioti, I never would have thought that. I will say this because, to be fair, I know she did a lot of things. I think she's the mom in How I Met Your
Yeah,
Father.
she is.
Mother, yeah, she's the mom in there. She's always like a, you know, I knew she existed, but I never really cared about her work. Now I
Mm.
am. I am very much
She's
interested to see what else she's gonna do.
so like I love the fact that basically every moment when you're
Mm,
watching her in the show, it's like, oh, I'm watching a woman who's going to explode. Like it
yeah,
feels like she is like on a knife's edge the entire time, and it's
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
fun. I love it when we get to see women. You know, I love angry women. One of my
mm,
favorite things, and
yeah,
she's so angry. And
mm,
I think it the whole like that episode 4 was fantastic. Her whole,
mm,
like you said, the everything she went through in Arkham was horrifying. And friend of the show, our friend Thinneth, kept
yes.
posting being like, Sophia has never done anything wrong in her life, kind of like a vibe. And I was like, but like in
Um,
that way, but it as a joke sort of a thing. But also,
okay.
I was watching it like, oh my god, she actually didn't. Oh no, she dropped her microphone, guys.
I did. Sorry.
Dropped it right on top of herself.
Sorry.
Um,
It's cancer.
point was, oh, yeah, you're not. I'm not hearing you properly.
What about now?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah, you were kind of far away for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all right. We've
It,
got it.
it's good.
Um,
It's good.
uh, my point was,
Sorry.
I was surprised that actually, like, genuinely, for a lot of it, she hadn't done anything wrong, and I was kind of on her side for basically all of it. It was like,
Mm, I'm not gonna lie because I do have a few tiny problems with this show, but
mm,
they really are tiny to be fair. Uh, I think by the end of it, she was one of my problems, I guess, in a way where I can't really put my finger on it. Why?
I think they did her dirty, personally. That was the thing that rubbed me the wrong way.
What do you mean?
Well, it's just like she's so interesting to me. And I feel like with all of the stuff that, and this was kind of my point about like the way that a lot of the women in the show are treated. These, because like Oz's mother ends up in a fucking coma, not even a coma. She's in a
Vegetative sieve, yeah.
persistent vegetative state by the end of
Yeah.
it. Um, uh, and oh, I can't remember her name. I'm terrible with names, everybody.
Same.
We know this to be true. But the woman that Oz was seeing throughout
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah.
it
Yeah.
ends up right back where she sort
Right
of
back, yeah.
started with him.
Yeah. I
Which
mean,
is just
I
sort of
don't
like,
think she really had a choice.
but like that's my kind of problem. It's kind of the that thing of like all of these women ended up victimized by the end of it. And
I mean,
she was heavily and Sophia was heavily victimized by a lot of it, and I wanted more vindication for her, and instead she
I
got.
don't, I don't think it was ever in the cards.
But like that annoys me.
I know, but also you gotta understand, and that's, I'm gonna say it. I don't care. I'm glad that just because lately there have been criticisms about how we should, portray certain things in media. I'm glad that they didn't shy away from showing that actually the world is unfair, and that's particularly true for Gotham. And it's not gonna care about if you're a woman, a man, or whatever.
No, it's just when it's like when it's everyone, it becomes an issue for
But
me.
it's the man as well. Like the only
But
one who's coming out of this basically as a winner is the Penguin himself. Let's be honest here.
yeah, I don't know.
Like
Just like
it's how Gotham works, and I'm really glad that we're not taking that away just because women, or just because no,
yeah,
no.
I don't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way in the sort of
I
like
I understand, but I also have to be like everyone got fogged here. Let's be honest. Like
it's yeah. I mean, it is true, but it's that sort of thing of like, especially when a lot of the trauma, I don't know, comes from because of men, right? It's not even
man, yeah.
it's not just because like, oh, everybody who attempts to gain power or what have you gets fucked over by the power that they're trying to grab. It's
Yeah,
because of men specifically
but
that
I
all
think,
of these women ended up in terrible places.
that's a very strong message.
Yeah,
I
but we've
think
seen
it's
it before, so I just don't care.
yeah, but I don't. Again, I don't like Gotham for me, and that's why I always liked Batman. Is until he actively shows up, it is a really rotten place, and these things are awful.
I
And
think, but it's not. I think it's just a problem for me and the genre, and it has always been because it's very much
yeah,
of it's very much
it
of
is.
the gangster genre, and you
It is.
can't really get away from it
No,
unless you focus like it's like centered more about around like yeah. It's just like it is. I think it is a fundamental genre issue for me in that this it's just a kind of intrinsically misogynistic genre in a way. Because like I love Peaky Blinders as well, but Peaky Blinders falls into a lot of the same issues. It, massively so, in fact.
but also like let's be fair, Pretty Blinders is like somewhat of a true story. Let's be
But it's
honest.
not really. It's only true in the sense
It's
that like it's
that's
only
why
true.
yeah, somewhat.
It's not, but like the actual story stuff is just that's just Stephen Knight, and
Yeah.
like
But just because, and that's my main thing about these things, just because it can be, painful to watch or feel like it's unfair and whatnot, we shouldn't, especially in media, we shouldn't shy away from these topics, and we shouldn't be like, let's tone it down a little bit. No,
I don't want it to be toned down. I
give
just
it to
like
me.
want more like I don't
But
know.
here's the thing. in this situation, what's happening in the Penguin, there was no way any of these women, who are also like, let's be fair, except for the Penguin's like lady, all of them were pretty fucked up. Like let's not shy away from that.
No,
Sophie
no, no.
as
And
well.
the way she was written was fantastic. Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong. As a character and the way she was like presented, I really liked all that. What I like less is when like characters that I feel like are very like sharp and smart and have like a lot of like wits about them, and she's clearly a lot smarter than him. And I don't know. Again, it's been like 2 hours, so I haven't pieced this all together properly for
mm,
me yet. I'm still like processing exactly what I felt about it. Yeah, I'm not saying I know how I would do it better. It's just saying it that like it rubs me the wrong way to see, just
yeah.
always. And yeah, again, I think it's just because I think it's just the genre that we're in.
I also wouldn't agree that she's smarter than the Penguin. She is smarter in a way
Mm.
where how to put this?
I
I
think
think the
she's I think she's more intelligent. He's more street
mm,
smart.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
I
I
think
mean.
that's the best way to put
But
it.
and I
Like,
think that what they did do very well is put her in a place of like of showing again that privilege that it kind of divides the two of them, and the fact that she will not at any point actually look at where he came from as a part of like who he is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it is kind of the fundamental issue with a lot of like that whole family, basically. I
Mm.
did love the entire section where she gassed them all. I thought that
Oh
was
yeah,
so good.
yeah. It was
And just like that
hauntingly.
incredible dress,
Yeah,
wearing the gas mask, just opening all the windows and closing up the thing and being like, "Yep, I've done my job." And I'm like, "That's sick as hell."
yeah,
I
yeah.
support women's
Absolutely.
rights, but I also support women's wrongs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's just fantastic,
She
really
she was
good.
really good. I think
Um,
why she
Also,
became
she's not gone is the other thing.
she's not gone.
She
Yeah, yeah, no, no.
there's like space for her to come back and be a
And
menace again,
it was already implied that she will.
and she knows who her sister is now.
Yes, 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 yes. I think now I can say that my problem with her specifically is that we saw too much of her by the end. Like I wish she would have been the kind of like character that we don't get to see this much of, if that makes sense.
See, I was kind of feeling this sort of like this kind of feels like it's secretly her show, and then they did that
Um,
last episode where I was like, oh, I see. Okay, right. Because it kind of
yeah.
felt like she was the one kind of building her way up on top. Plus, I think what I liked about the end of it was that she kind of was going back to her roots, where she was like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to
Mm,
be in this. I don't want to be this person. I don't
and
want
I
to be with the thing that everybody keeps defining me as. And then she went to leave and was like, no, you've done too much now.
and also that's where she fucked up.
Yeah.
That's where she didn't recognize that it was too late, basically. It was too late to back down and be like,
I
no,
think
I'm
the
gonna do
thing, it
my own thing.
wasn't so much, if she had just left, I don't think it would have made any difference. It's the
Uh,
fact that she wanted that revenge out of it.
yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, yeah. Clearly, that fucked it over for her. All right. I think one last thing that I personally want to mention, because these four are the main parts of
Mm.
the whole show. But the last thing I will mention is freaking Clancy Brown. I love that man. He's so good in everything he does, basically. But this is so morbid, but it was the way they killed him off.
Hmm.
I found it so brilliant. Where it's literally like, because I'm not gonna lie, I always had a thought like, what if, because these like he's not a young person anymore.
Mm.
Even if he was a young person, like, you know, because he has a heart attack
Yeah.
and he dies
Just fucking
as he's
falls
fighting
over.
the penguin. And it was like, I always had a thought like, what if this happens? And I'm so glad in a way that we got to see it, that sometimes life fucks you over actually. And it is something that you can't you know, just can't think about. Like he went into this obviously with the death of his son and his wife and all this rage and vengeful thinking about the penguin must have caused the entire way he went out, but also how brilliant that it's we get to see that sometimes life just unfair and fucks you over, but also what a great moment for the penguin as well. He was like, no, 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 I won, and I was like, you don't, you are delusional. You're so delusional.
Yeah, no, honestly, for me, it was truly that very last moment where he goes to see his mother sitting in the hospital bed in the top of the penthouse in a room that's not decorated,
Not
no
decorated at
lights
all.
on,
Yeah, yeah.
just like, hey, stare out the window, and it's the
You got
fact
your
that
penthouse.
it's that fucking thing of like he never got that thing that he always wanted, which was like, oh, I want you to tell me that you're proud of me, and I
Yeah,
want you
yeah,
to
yeah,
tell
yeah,
me
yeah.
that like I did a
Oh,
good job, and like it immediately got robbed from him. Like he did the thing he always said he was gonna do, and he was like, doesn't matter, she's fucking gone now.
yeah,
None
yeah.
of it meant anything.
No,
But then instead that he's putting his like, I think her name's Eve.
Eve, yeah.
Eve's dressing up as his fucking mum,
So fucked up.
and it's like, tell me that you're
It's
proud
so,
of
I'm
me, and I'm like,
sorry.
oh, oh my
Uh,
god.
Jesus Christ, it was so fucked up. I was like, no, I can't deal with this scene at all. But also, I will now say, my only big problem with any show like this is that it is clearly, like they said it as well, it plays after the Batman,
Mm.
like a few days, I
It's
believe,
a couple
or
of
maybe a couple of
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
I think there are many major things that happen here. Where the fuck was the Batman?
Yeah, it's that whole shtick,
It's
really,
the
isn't it?
it's the whole problem when these these big universes try to do their own thing, and it's you can't help but have this tone. And I honestly I thought that the whole thing got spoiled for me on Twitter when the last episode aired, and I saw Batman trending, and I was like, oh, he's gonna show up in the
Mm.
last episode. So I was kind of like, but also I felt like that there's no way he's not gonna show up at one point and get involved in this whole thing, because it by the end it just felt way too huge to go unnoticed by the Cape Crusader, the hero of
I
Gotham
just
and whatnot.
assumed there was something else going on
But
that he
it's
was doing. I don't know.
but
Or
that's the thing, like
maybe he was sleeping.
Jesus Christ. So that's I think that's
First time in his life that Bruce Wayne has ever looked after himself.
yeah. But I think that's what a little bit fucks over these kind of shows, because even in the I have to bring it in, even in the Peacemaker, even if they make a joke out of it, but by the end the whole thing they are after gets so big, but that at the end Justice League shows up, and it they make it out to be a joke, but it's something that they acknowledge, that we know that this is such a huge thing that it wouldn't go unnoticed by the heroes that we
Mm.
established in this universe. So therefore, here they are, even if it's for just like 10 seconds or 15 seconds. So I felt like that by the end, when the bat signal shows up, that just by that time Oswald was already on top of the world. The whole bombing situation happened. Where where the fuck was the Batman? You know, that's my only
Sure,
criticism.
there will be a throwaway line in the Batman Part Two, talking about. I'm no, I'm giving it less credit than it probably deserves. I'm sure that because I mean, Matt Reeves is still very heavily was still very heavily
I know.
involved in
Yeah,
this whole thing. It was like even though it's written, I believe, by I'm looking at her name now, Lauren LaFranc,
yeah,
and it was like her sort of show. Um, it's still like Matt Reeves is still very much involved and will obviously be using whatever is going on in here within whatever is coming next.
yeah.
But yeah, I can see what you mean there. I knew he wasn't turning up, Like, I just like on a fundamental level, I was like, there's no. Well, for one thing, just like on a purely schedule based level, I'm like, there's no way they got Robert Pattinson in to do this. Just no way.
Yeah, but that you know what
So
I
I
mean.
just wasn't expecting him to arrive. But I no, I can see what you mean. But I also don't think I would have enjoyed it if he just turned up. I feel like I would have thought that was too
That's
like it would
no,
have
that
felt a bit too like and Superman appeared, that kind of like vibe. And you're like,
I
okay,
also
I know what universe I'm watching.
yeah, I also agree with that, but like, you know, if they wouldn't have been this big by the end because
Yeah.
it affected many people by the end, I wouldn't have cared as much, I guess. Like it wouldn't even probably wouldn't even popped into my mind because, there sure you can explain that there are bigger things happening that he has to pay attention to. But since it got really big,
Mm.
especially with that whole bombing thing in episode 7
Mm.
and at the beginning of episode 8, I was like, I'm sure that he would show up, like, and when he didn't, obviously, yeah, of course he didn't. I was
Yeah,
like,
honestly, thinking about it, you kind of feel like there should have been somebody being like, yeah, but what about the bat? Or like something where somebody
or some
mentions that he's around and doing stuff
exactly,
and being
exactly,
a bit of a menace still. I can see that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and
fair.
especially because Oz met him,
Yeah.
like you would assume that at least he,
Still one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of the movie.
oh yeah,
No
yeah.
hablo español, fellas.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. But also like you would think that he's at least a little bit worried
Mm.
regarding the Batman.
Yeah, you
Uh,
kind of feel like somebody should have mentioned him.
at least once or something.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I don't even think it
I
was
don't
ever
think anybody
mentioned.
said anything.
No.
Like, I think like the only time that you felt like it really connected back to, I mean, other than like the dam wall breaking and
Yeah,
blowing up, just break it. It was exploded. And like all the references to the flooding of Crown Point and all that sort of stuff. You
yeah.
don't. I had a very specific point that I was going to get to when I
Hmm.
started that sentence, and it flew out of my brain. Just
It
gone.
went
It went. Yeah, I'm gone now. Yeah, you just I don't know. You just feel like that somebody would say something.
something. Yeah, yeah. Because this, I don't know. This way, it's like yes, it's connected. Yes, it's in the same universe, but also like, is it?
Yeah,
you know and I'm sure because Colin Farrell already said that
he's
he
turning
has
up
a
in the next
contract for
movie.
like yeah that he's gonna be in the next movie as well. Okay,
I remember what I was going to say. It was like
okay,
I forgot. I had you kind of could forget in parts that like this was a space
yeah,
that like
agreed,
operated in the same space as that movie.
agreed,
And
yeah,
I think that the thing that really made it more starkly like, oh, this is a Batman property was the
yeah,
mention of Selena Kyle at the end, where
yeah,
it was like feels like a really direct comparison to the things that we'd
yeah,
seen before.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
comparison, but like count, not counterpoint, just like connecting point, I
Connect,
guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and then obviously the bat signal going up at the end, which just made
And
me.
that's it.
I was like, no, that was
You're a
kind of
bit
it.
too late, aren't you?
Yeah.
That was my
Where the
tone.
fuck have you been?
Where the fuck have you been, my guy? Like that was literally my throat. Like, isn't that isn't that a bit too late?
And I was just trying to think about it in like context of like he's not really like he became sort of the Batman at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So you feel like but like maybe I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't have I'm done. I've got nothing else. Um I'm going to
Yeah.
pivot entirely and say and mention that because obviously is he John Turturro? He's just John, isn't he? My brain went Johnny, but no, that's a character from Graceland. Um, the John Turturro who played Carmine Falcone in the movie
Yes.
did not want to come back to do the role again. So we did get Mark Strong, who did a very good job.
I love Mark Strong.
We do love Mark Strong. It's just that
Mark Strong is
he
great.
took me a long time to recognize. I knew it wasn't John Turturro, but I was like, who is that? Because I forgot I saw his name in the credits from like a couple of episodes ago. And I was like, I don't remember fucking Mark Strong turning up in this.
Here's the thing. I always mix him up with Stanley Tucci. So it
I
took
mean,
my
yeah,
brain a little bit to realize that no,
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 that's
no.
Mark Strong.
That is Mark Strong. Okay, okay, good, 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 good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always the accent. That's how I, take them apart. Like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's Mark Strong. Okay, good, good,
yeah.
good, good. He
Um,
was so good, so
yeah,
good.
and a really great choice to replace
Oh yeah,
John Turturro.
yeah,
Play
100%.
a younger man as well.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. I
Part,
agree.
part of that. But yeah,
All
just
right.
wanted to mention he was good.
Yes. Should we rate this season?
You can do that.
How would you rate this eight
That's a good
episode?
question.
I know. Ma.
Um, like an 8, I think. It was really good, but like I think fundamentally, I don't like gangster shows really that
Yeah.
much. It's hard for me, especially yeah, especially when you've got gangster shows which kind of are so like your main guy is genuinely a bad guy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
very hard. It like I know that does it's very good. That does something for a lot of people, and I'm not saying it's not good. Like yeah,
No.
it's great. Like I'd like to be able to watch something where I can really connect to somebody, and I suppose that was Victor, but like then Victor died, and then we've
Yeah.
also got Sophia, who I'm like, girl, I'm sorry, you sound better, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
Um, so it's yeah, I don't know. It's diff. Gangster shows are very hit and miss for me, and
Mm,
it's not the fault of the show itself. It's just that they doesn't work for me
mm,
personally.
mm. I understand. I understand. It's very rare for me to enjoy gangster movies or TV shows or anything. I think the less genuine one that I enjoyed is actually the Mafia game, which came out
Mm.
when I was like so young, so much younger. By the way, if you hear music in the background, my dad is either watching The Warrior
Mm.
or Yellowstone. And I don't know what happened to this microphone, but now it picks up everything. So if you heard something strange, that's my dad downstairs. But anyway, yeah, I think eight is very, very fair
Mm.
on the entire thing. It's really good show, very well written, fantastically uh, done on the casting. Like everyone is really, really brilliant in it. So there's no complaints there. I really my biggest complaint is the nitpicking of like where was the Batman.
Yeah.
But other than that, they built it up really well. Um, Characters were great, story was great. It's more of a thing for me as well that I don't think it's really my gem,
Yeah, I think that's
especially
my
at the
thing as
moment.
well. Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
like, it's a very like I can appreciate that it's a very very good TV show, but I'm also like,
It's not for me.
it's not for me.
It's not for me. It's not like I think I'd have to be in a really specific mood for it. Like the difference between this and the Batman, because the Batman's like a proper crime drama. It's
Mm,
a mystery. I love mysteries. I don't always enjoy watching men grab for power. It does nothing for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's
It's
part of why like something like Peaky Blinders actually does do it more for me because like I think Tommy as a character is so like he's so broken and like is it, like to me the thing that's interesting about him was that he was so obviously somebody who was kind
mm,
and is just like in lots of pain and like or basically everything that comes afterwards is just like this is a man who just never got help.
yeah,
um
yeah. That's not true for the Penguin.
it's not true
I
for the
don't.
Penguin, he's just a bad guy.
He's just an awful person. Just as his own mother says, he's a monster. End of story. Like there's literally, as I said it before, there's no redeeming qualities to the Penguin.
And it's not like you can be like there's nuance to that, but it's nuance in the way that he's bad. It's not like nuance outside like and
No,
there's like here's some redeeming. It's like there's not redeeming qualities. There's
no.
like pitiful qualities, but they're
Yeah,
not. It's like the difference between something being like moments of like empathy and moments of like oh you're just like you're just bad. It's like I can feel sorry for you, but it's not going to be in the way that makes me want to help you. I'm just like, oof,
Yeah, 100%
oof.
agree. 100% agree. All right. That was us talking about the penguin or the penguin. Once again, I had to.
Bing wing.
Benedict. Bing, bing. Uh, I don't know if we're back next week. Are we back next week?
Well, we were meant to do Glickit, Gladiator, and Wicked,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you then told me that apparently the biggest movie what is
In
about
the,
to be the biggest movie in the world is
yeah,
just not coming to your country, which doesn't make
probably
any
not.
fucking sense to me.
It's
Um,
unreal.
but I mean, are you getting Gladiator?
We're getting Gladiator. We
Then
already got it.
we could just do Gladiator
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm
It's
seeing
all. It's
Gladiator.
already on the cinema.
I'm seeing Gladiator next Wednesday, so we
Mm.
could do Friday next week and do Gladiator.
Okay. Then we will be back. We will be back.
I'm
And
seeing Wicked on the Saturday afterwards, and then I think the week after that we're doing Arcane.
yes. And yeah. And yeah, we're gonna be back. That's the main point. That's
Yeah,
the main thing. Um. All right. This is us saying goodbye.
this
Thank you for
this
joining.
story is us saying goodbye.
Yes. Take care.
Our
Rate
faces will be
us.
back next week.
Yes. 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 Yes.
If you
Yes.
see a scab
100%.
on my face next week, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Done. End of story. Watch movies.
Yeah,
That's watch movies
watch
because they are
movies.
great. And cut the check.
Bam, bam.
Bam.
The
Bam.
feed.